this TCG feature is simple but genius. And this is why. So welcome to another Talk TCG, and today I'm going to be taking a look at the Digimon trading card game, and most importantly I'm going to focus on one feature of the game which I think is absolutely genius, okay? And it can be easily incorporated into other people's TCGs. It's a way of scaling complexity, but instead of keeping the mystery alive, let's dive into what it is exactly. So for people who don't know, the new Digimon TCG came out just a couple of years ago, and it's been doing quite well. You know, I've bought a few cards, I've got a few here just as an example for you, and the main feature that I want to show people today is the inherited move system. Now, why is this so good? So I'm going to start off with a basic low level Digimon. You get this out onto the field and it doesn't do anything special, but at the bottom here it has an inherited move system. Now, how does that work? Basically, once we level it up, essentially, or digivolve it, we can add that to it, and now it has gained the inherited move system. This is the genius that I want to address today. So by gaining an effect when leveling up, basically scales the complexity. So here we've got a third level, so we digivolve this Digimon again, and then you start to see how quickly the effects are compounding on top of each other. You know, now we have two inherited moves to work with this Digimon, and if we evolve this one again, then we get another inherited move. Plus you have the current effect, which is there as well. So this Digimon has a current effect, which is an on-play activation or on detection. So they've got like nice little activation keywords as well, which is also a nice thing to address. But that's not what we're talking about today. We're talking about the inherited moves. And we're not going to go into detail of the specifics of inherited moves, but the idea of scalability. So you have your TCG, you want to create a scaling system. You want the game to ramp up and gain momentum as you progress through your TCG. So by having creatures that can actually gain inherited moves when leveling up means they have a scalability in terms of effect complexity. By having multiple effects, you're making them more complicated. But when you're looking at the individual card is not complex at all. The individual card only has that one effect, which is like 2-3 lines at the most of information. There's not a lot of detail there. But by having that scalability of stacking cards on top of each other to get the more complicated effects means that the creature that we're referencing has essentially limitless potential. So for people who don't know, unlike Pokemon where they have to be of the same evolutionary chain, in Digimon they just have to color match. So if there's an example, I've got all blues there. All blues can't mix with reds, all reds can't mix with yellows. Sometimes you get some dual types, which is nice because you can create a crossover deck. So you can go from any blue Digimon to another blue Digimon to another blue Digimon, maybe a blue purple, and then you could even switch over to a pure purple down the line. So there's that factor. Now, because it has that with the color coding, there is a lot more mix and match, which is what makes that system genius. Now, I know what some people might be thinking. It's essentially just like an equip support card, a spell card, an attachment card, whatever your TCG might call it. It's just a way of supporting that creature. But what is actually really, really clever about it is if you're looking at it through a marketing point of view, which I know you might not be. You might go, oh, it's my homemade TCG, I just make it for what I love. But there are certain formulas that trigger people into certain likabilities, we'll say. And you should not be any different. You might have a personal preference, but for the majority of people, this will be your preference. Now, we get more association, we get more feeling out of seeing creatures and people rather than spells and weapons and things like that, you know. We see those and we go, oh, that's a nice landscape, that's pretty, but it's not, there's no love there. When you learn a character, you learn the character's backstory, you see their style, you see what they stand for, there's more attachment there. And that is because we are social creatures. As human beings, we like to socialize. So if we see a creature that we could picture petting, or it grows up and it's big and strong and you can see its power level, we get that association with it, that partnership. And that is why Digimon is clever in that sense as well, because they do have a support system, they have support cards, but the ratio to put in a Digimon deck for that type of support card system is very small. We're talking like 5 cards or something in a whole deck, where another deck would be more like 15, 20, 25 cards. So by minimizing that support system, by incorporating essentially pseudo support system within the inherited system of Digimon cards, I'm holding them the wrong way, there we go. So by doing that, you are getting the attachment, that connection with this Digimon. This Digimon's cute and fluffy, I love it, but it becomes your support card, essentially. So by doing that, you have doubled up that usefulness. You've doubled up that need in your TCG. Which means you can create fewer cards for your TCG. You can streamline your TCG. Now I know other TCGs may have done it, but I think Digimon have done it correctly. So you have the color-coded blocked out system for like red, yellow, blue, black, purple, and that keeps them all separate. So those types of inherited effects can be focused to that color, similar to what would be in Magic the Gathering. They would have color spell cards that would work with their type of energy system. But in Digimon, with one stroke, they've removed the need for that energy system by having the Digimon actually inherit the moves, and they can only inherit the moves by being of that same color. Now, it's just something for you to take away today, but I feel like future TCGs might start to incorporate this a little bit more if they can. I just think it's such a good idea to streamline a TCG this way that we'll start to see other TCGs copy this feature, at least in a similar way. And I would recommend, if you're starting your own homemade TCG, to incorporate this in some way if it is possible. Obviously, don't try to cram in a mechanic if it doesn't work with your system, but it is something I would highly recommend. Now today, if you feel like this has been a useful video for you, then please hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe. I'll be making plenty more Talk TCG videos in the future, so make sure to stay tuned, don't miss out, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.